All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to watch this recording. My name is Maxine Nebro, and I work over at tutor.com. Today, we're going to give you a comprehensive overview of how to utilize tutor.com, how to access it, and some of the best features for you. So, the first thing that we're going to talk about is actually accessing tutor.com. Now, if you're accessing from your college, there are going to be a couple of different ways that you can go about that. So the first one, and we're going to use Clinton College as an example, is going to the library portion of the college website. So we here will go to current students and then go to library. Then you'll go over to databases. And then from here, you can search for tutor.com. This one's alphabetical. So easily we can just switch to T and then click on over to tutor.com. Now, depending on your college, it might be slightly different. It might be within your LMS. So think inside Blackboard or Canvas. But if you are ever struggling on finding access to tutor.com, you can always go to your librarian at your college and let them know, and they'll be able to walk you through that process. Alternatively, if you have kind of gone through all of your different options, but you still haven't been able to find access to tutor.com, if you go to tutor.com or if you go to scdiscus.org and click this button right here, that will bring you directly into tutor.com. So this is going to be a really great backup if you can't find any links on your college site. Now, whether you're accessing from the database page here within your LMS or from the Discus homepage, the same thing is going to apply. You are all going to be brought over to a screen that looks just like this. Now, right now, I am accessing as a guest, which means I have anonymous usage. I can connect with a live tutor anonymously 24/7. But if I wanted to access any of the other features, as you can see here, scheduling a tutoring session, submitting a paper for review, dropping off a math question, as well as everything underneath the other tools, that you do need to create an account for. Thankfully, creating an account is incredibly simple. You can just click on any of these grayed out bars at the top or the create account button in the top right corner, and you fill out the information, your first name, your email address, your password, and then your date of birth. Now, normally, this isn't going to be too much of an issue for you since if you're in college, you are generally above the age of 13. But make sure that you're putting in the correct date of birth. If you put a date of birth that shows you are 13 years or younger, you are going to have a restricted account due to COPA compliance, because we do take privacy very seriously. So as a result, if you put your date of birth as 13 years or younger, it will be restricted. So if you are creating an account, if you decide that that's what you want to do, just keep that in mind and make sure to put in the correct date of birth. Once you finish all of this, you can hit create an account. Now, I already have an account, so I'm just going to log in. And if I remembered that correctly, as you can see, this top navigation bar is now completely bolded, which means I'm logged in. I have access to all of the different features. The main feature that folks are going to be using and that you will probably use in your day to day is connecting with a tutor now. Once you click this, you'll be brought over to our pre-session survey where you just fill out some of this information. And this just provides us with the information on how to best pair you with an available tutor, as well as what questions or problems you're running into. So if we click this topic drop down over here, you'll see all of the different subjects or topics that we have available. So we have those core subjects of math, science, English, writing, social studies, even some of those core world languages like Spanish, Italian, German, and French. So this is going to be great for your gen ed classes. Maybe you're starting college after a gap year and you need to review some algebra. You can do that with our tutors over here. As we scroll down, we do have some more complicated subjects available. We do have business courses. And as you can see, these go over a wide range of different subjects. We also have computer skills. So not only do you have programming tutors available, but you can also connect with one of our tutors to learn more about Excel, how to manipulate data in there. or even connecting with one of our tutors to learn how to make a PowerPoint presentation, all the different tips and tricks within PowerPoint that can kind of help you when it comes to presentations that you might be having to do in college. Additionally, we have nursing and healthcare subjects. So if anybody is taking a nursing course or going to school to be a nurse, there are options available for you as well. And then we also have the last two things that I really want to highlight is our job help. So this is really helpful if you're looking for internships and you need to update your resume, cover letter. You can connect to one of our career professionals and again, go over how to write a resume or write a cover letter. You can take your resume into the classroom and work on it live with another tutor. One of my favorite things to point out is you can actually prepare for an interview. So if you have an interview coming up next week, for that internship or that part-time position, you can actually connect with one of our tutors and they'll walk you through the process, talk about the questions you can expect to be asked, as well as kind of formulating some answers based off of your own previous experience that you can then bring into that interview session. And then the last thing that I want to highlight is our study skills coaching. This is something that we created back when the pandemic first started because we noticed that without the structure of the classroom, a lot of students were struggling with taking notes or keeping on task. So now you can actually connect with our tutors for those types of topics. So you can connect with our tutors to talk about different note-taking strategies, different studying strategies, even things like how to manage your own time or keep organized with all the different projects, homework assignments that you may have in college, you can now connect with our tutors and work through problems like that. But now, while we're moving forward, I'm going to kind of go with a more general example. So let's say I was in college and I was taking a chemistry course. I could choose science, go down to chemistry from the subject. And as you can see, we have a lot of different subjects underneath the science topic. You choose your grade level, and this is so that our tutors have an idea of who they're working with, because kind of tutoring a 10th grader is going to be very different than tutoring a college student or an adult learner. So again, this just provides our tutors with some more information. Then you decide how you want to communicate with your tutor. So you can have a chat only session, which is going to be typing back and forth. Or if you created that free account, you can connect via voice to your tutor. So that means you'll be speaking back and forth with the tutor. And that's going to be really helpful for the more complicated things like chemistry, like calculus, but also things like essay reviews. That can be a really invaluable resource to be able to speak back and forth with the tutor, and then you enter in your question. And this could be as generic or as specific as you need. So, for example, in chemistry, if I'm struggling with the concept of covalent bonds, I can just type out here, I don't understand covalent bonds. The tutor is going to be able to take that, walk you through what a covalent bond is, and maybe even bring in a practice question just to make sure that you have a full understanding of the concept. On the flip side, if I'm struggling on homework assignment number three, question number three, I can type that out in here. I can even attach that homework assignment as a file, and that's really helpful in case there are graphs, reading passages, or any kind of other imagery that is attached to that question. This way, the tutor has access to that all. And then once you fill out all of this information, you hit connect now. And then that's going to bring you into our new classroom. So if you've used tutor.com in the past, in the last couple of months, we recently updated it and we've added a ton of really great features to the classroom. But if you've never used it, this is now going to be easier than ever to utilize. Essentially, this is a fully collaborative environment. Whatever it is that I draw, the tutor is going to be able to see and vice versa. We have pens in a wide range of different colors, which can help with the labeling. We have a highlighter. So if you're working on a long problem, but you want to keep certain bits of information readily available and visible, you can easily now highlight that information and kind of reference that whenever you need to. You can bring in different shapes if you're working on some basic math problems like the area of a triangle, or if you're doing, Pythagorean theorem or something like that. You can bring that into the classroom as well. We also have a labeler, so you can now basically start to label within the classroom, and you'll be able to drag that around. We have pointers so that you can easily, again, reference that you are looking at something over here. And again, just makes it easier to keep track of information. And then you have the background. So right now we're working on a whiteboard, but we can easily change that to a graph board or graph paper. And then you can start doing some basic plotting this way. So again, depending on what type of math courses you're in college, especially if you're taking gen ed, there's a lot of versatility within this classroom. Now I'll go back to the whiteboard. And one of the biggest things that we've added to the classroom is the ability to expand the whiteboard. So basically, as you're doing a long problem, maybe it's a 10-step math problem, because we all know how difficult those can get, you can just keep expanding the board and you don't have to worry about needing to erase any content or losing track of anything. It's going to be way easier to kind of look back and keep organized with your notes in the classroom. Now, you can always create multiple different whiteboards if you're working on different problems. So let's say problem one is on whiteboard number one, problem two is on whiteboard number two, but you want to reference something or take a look at some of the work that you've done previously. You're always going to be able to switch back and forth between these whiteboards while working inside the classroom. Next, I mentioned that we do have some coding tutors available. You can now connect with them in the classroom and open up one of our code editors. And this is going to be really great where you could just copy and paste whatever code it is that you're working on into the classroom and work on that collaboratively with the tutor. They'll be able to point out different areas where your code might be broken or things that you might want to change moving forward. For anybody taking some more complex math courses, we do have a graphing calculator. It's pretty much like a TI-84 or TI-89. This is powered by Desmos, so a lot of students, you are probably already aware or using this within the classroom, but it is a fully fledged graphing calculator. You have access to the trigonometry functions, statistic functions, really anything that you would need to use a graphing calculator for. You can use this online graphing calculator. And again, this is going to be really nice because as you're starting to work on more complex problems, you can just bring that right into the classroom. You don't have to worry about trying to explain something that the tutor can't see. The tutor will be able to see everything that is happening in the online graphing calculator. And then the last kind of field that we have here is the word processor. This is kind of like our Google Docs. Essentially, you copy and paste whatever it is that you're working on in here, and you can collaboratively work on that with the tutor. They'll be able to highlight things, bold things, underline things, and work with you in real time to make the edits that you need to in order to have your paper be the best possible paper for when you're handing that in. Now, one of the new things that we've added is the ability to share the screen. And this is going to be really helpful if you're working on any kind of homework assignments that have, a PDF attached to it and you need to do work on that PDF. But also, if you're working on a longer paper, you can now share your screen and work on that directly on your own computer. So I would just open up my Word document, share my screen, and work on that with the tutor. The tutor will be able to point out and reference things that they can see on my screen, and we can make the changes then and there. It also makes life a lot easier because now everything is happening on your own computer. You don't have to worry about re-downloading different files or kind of sharing something with the tutor and them having to share it back. All of the documents are going to stay on your own computer. And this is also really great for anything that is format specific. So I talked about resumes in the past. Now you can work on your resume on your own computer. And you don't have to worry about having to reformat everything once the session is done. Next is attaching a file. So here you have the normal file upload where you scroll through your computer's files, find the one that you want to upload to the classroom and do it that way. But we just added this brand new feature called Snapshot via Snap Attach. And what this does is you take a picture of the QR code, then you can take a picture of your homework assignment, and that will automatically drag it into the classroom. So that's really helpful if, again, you're starting to get homework assignments on paper and not digitally. Maybe you have a rubric for an essay that you're working on, but it was only handed out on paper. You can now upload that to the classroom directly, and the tutor will have access to all of those different files, again, so that they can bring it into the classroom and work with you on it that way. So we've just added a brand new way to bring documents into the classroom to try to make it a little bit easier and lower some frustration for students. Next is how you're going to be communicating with your tutor. Basically, anything that I type here, the tutor would be able to see, and vice versa. Nobody's going to actually respond to me because I am in a practice classroom, but this is how you would be having a chat session. If you decided to have a voice session, you would just click this little toggle in the top navigation bar, and then you'll connect your audio device. So if that is your headset, you can connect that, test your audio, and begin speaking back and forth with the tutor. Or you can use your laptop's microphone, or if you're kind of accessing from an iPad or an iPhone or your Android device, you'll be able to use the built-in microphone there as well. And once you are done with the session, you just hit end session. Now, when you finish that session, there will be a post session survey with just some information about how you felt about the session in question. It is completely optional to fill out. The thing that I want to highlight, though, especially if you're accessing as a guest, you'll have the ability to email the transcript to yourself after that session is done. That way, you can keep a record of every single session that you've had, and you can use that as a study guide in the future, or if you're working on similar problems on a homework assignment, you can always reference that as notes. Additionally, if one of your professors or teachers is asking you to get some extra help because maybe you're struggling, you can also email them a transcript of your session as proof that, hey, I connected with a tutor. I'm working on this outside of the classroom. So that is another kind of way you can utilize that emailing the session transcript. But again, if you aren't accessing through an account, if you're accessing as a guest, emailing yourself the transcript is going to be a game changer. Switching back over here, before we talk about some of the other tools in the top navigation bar, I just want to highlight that if there's anybody that predominantly learns in Spanish, if that's their primary language, they're more comfortable learning that way, we do have Spanish speaking tutors available. You just click this drop down over here, switch to Espanol, and it will refresh the page and have Spanish topics available. So that will cover the core subjects, so math, science, social studies, as well as study skills, which we talked about earlier. And those will be completely in Spanish. So not only typing back and forth in Spanish, but you'll be able to speak back and forth with your tutor in Spanish if that's how you prefer to learn. The next thing that I'm going to talk about is scheduling a tutoring session. This is really great for anybody who needs a little bit more consistency in their education practice. They like to plan things ahead. You can schedule up to 3 different sessions at a time, and you just go through this list to choose all of the different topics that you want help in. So let's say I want help in Algebra 2. I just choose that. I can scroll through all of these tutors to see who's going to be available next, what their availability looks like. Let's say I want to work with Jalen. I hit schedule, and then I choose the date and time that I want to work with them. So this person works very early in the morning. Maybe that's when I have some availability in my schedule, or that's when I tend to be awake. I can then click 1 a.m. to 1:20 a.m. And then you just choose the topic and subject. So you would choose in this case math, and then algebra 2. You choose your grade level, again, providing the tutors with some more information, and then what it is that you'd like to discuss. And once you fill all of that and you hit set schedule a session, when it's time to join that session, there will be a large green box up top here saying connect to your next session. And you'll be able to connect with your tutor and have that session. So again, this is going to be really helpful for anybody who does need a little bit more consistency or kind of wants to tailor who they're working with. The next thing is submitting a paper for review. So essentially here, you just choose what your grade level is here. You choose the topic of the paper, you type that out, where you are in the writing process, and depending on where you are, you can actually highlight what you want your tutor to focus on. So, for example, if I was back in college, I know that grammar, punctuation, and mechanics, and then sentence variety and clarity were always my weak points. I can tell my tutor that I want them to focus on that. That doesn't mean that they aren't going to be looking at how you're supporting your argument or crediting your sources. They will still be taking a look at that information, but a bulk of their feedback will be on what it is that I recommended. And then you describe the assignment and any instructions that you got from the teacher or professor. And again, this is so that our tutors have a better idea of what it is you're being graded on so that they can best tailor their feedback to your paper in question. And then you upload the file, and in about 12 hours, in my experience, it can sometimes be even quicker. I've had papers returned to me within about 5 to 6 hours. You'll see something that looks like this. And essentially, we rubric everything out for you and even color code it so that it's really easy to see at a glance where you are in that process. And we also provide some general feedback on the different subjects or topics that we're looking at. And we link out to different resources that we think might be helpful. So we have a wide database of proprietary resources. That we are able to link out to directly. But if the tutor thinks that, hey, there's this citation guide that I found online and I think it would really help you, they'll be able to link out to that as well. Now, our tutors are going to be looking at thesis statement, developing ideas, essay structure, research and citation, and then grammar and mechanics. Now, this is all really helpful. There's a ton of information that you can get just from this post session survey or feedback form. But one thing that I want to highlight is the reviewed document. This link up here is going to be a game changer for you. When you click that, it will open up a version of your paper. And let me just bring that over here where our tutors have gone in, highlighted specific portions of your paper, and provided specific feedback on that portion. So, for example, the tutor here highlighted 2 sentences and put some feedback as to what changes you might want to make, what grammar issues you might be running into. They'll be able to highlight specific word choices that maybe don't necessarily fit, or let you know that, hey, this sentence might work best somewhere else. So this is going to be a really great way to get that specific feedback on your paper. Now, our tutors aren't going to actually make any changes on your paper. That is always going to be up to you, but we do provide you with a ton of information to do so. Going back over here, I also wanted to highlight again for anybody who is looking for those internships, those part-time positions, or maybe even full-time positions. We have a resume and cover letter drop off available as well. So again, you kind of follow the same formula. You choose what it is that you want them to help you with, a resume or cover letter, your grade level, who you are. Now you're going to be either doing a recent graduate or other. But just to give you some idea as to why it is that we do this, a recent graduate or a college student's resume is going to be drastically different than someone who has 20 years of work experience. And that resume is going to be drastically different than someone who is changing career paths. So this again provides our tutors with the best information on how they might recommend formatting your resume or cover letter. And then you upload the announcement or posting here. And again, this is going to be for keywords to help prioritize specific bullet points in your resume, things of that nature. So our tutors have all the information possible. And then again, you hit submit, and within about 12 hours, you will get a similar feedback form. It's a little simpler looking, but you will also have access to that reviewed document that I talked about for the essay feedback form. Now we also have dropping off a math question. This is going to be really great. Again, if you're in those gen ed classes, maybe you're taking an algebra class and you haven't done that in years, you can choose algebra, your grade level, and then type out your question. And again, we even have an option to attach a file in case there are graphs, images, or word problems that you don't want to type out, but we also have the ability to draw a problem. We provide a little whiteboard for you to do so. And once you do that, within about 24 hours, you'll get something that looks like this, where we basically go through step by step that entire problem, both visually and written out, so that we hit all different types of learners. And you can even expand the images and basically learn how to actually solve that problem. So this is great if you're working on a study guide or maybe you have a homework assignment that's due next week, but you just have zero clue how to solve it. And maybe you're not super comfortable connecting with a live tutor just yet, and you want to do something asynchronously. You can always submit your question to our tutors. They will be able to help you and walk you through that entire process. Next is underneath our other tools. So one thing that I really want to highlight is that our company tutor.com is partnered with the Princeton Review. That means that we get to take a lot of their test prep content, steal it, and provide it to you for free. So some of this stuff is things that people would pay a couple $100s for on their own if they wanted to access. Now, the SAT and ACT, that's probably not going to be super helpful for you. But one of the main things I did want to highlight were the grad school test prep options. So, again, through the Princeton Review, we have practice tests for the GRE, GMAT, LSAT, and MCAT. So, if you or anybody is preparing to take these tests, you can always hop in here, take a practice test, see how you do, see how you're faring. But included with those practice tests are a detailed score report that will show you what subjects you're struggling in the most, as well as help you keep track over different practice tests as you're taking so you can see if you're improving over time or not. But for the GRE, GMAT, and MCAT, we recently added a ton of video lessons and practice drills to this module. So again, let's say you take the GRE and you find out that you're struggling in a specific subject. If you still don't understand why the answer is A when you chose B, we have video lessons for all of those different topics to help you. So again, this is going to be a game changer if you are deciding to take these tests or if you know anybody who is deciding to take these tests. And then the last thing that I want to highlight is our watch videos for math and English. Now, these were originally made for a younger audience, um, but this can be really helpful again for anybody who is hopping back into school after years of gap years, or maybe you're struggling with the fundamentals. You can watch these videos and get a better idea of how to deal with fractions and decimals, how to deal with percentages, mean, median, and mode. We also have for algebra, geometry, and statistics. So again, you can go through all of these different videos and we have dozens of them available. And even for reading, writing, and grammar. So again, these are really great if you're struggling in these topics, or if you just want a quick refresher before you start taking a course next semester. And those are all the main features of tutor.com. Again, connecting with a live tutor, you don't need to create an account. You can do that completely anonymously. But everything else that I showed, you do need to create an account for. And again, when creating an account, not only do you get access to scheduling a tutoring session, submitting a paper for review, dropping off a math question, all of that really great test prep that I talked about, you also get access to my account features. So every single session that you have will automatically get saved into your account so you can review it at another point in time. And again, these session transcripts have the entire chat log. If you had an audio session, you'll be able to listen to that again. It also has screenshots of the classroom and even a recording of the classroom so you can watch those problems that you worked on happen in real time. Next is favorite tutors. And essentially here, you have the ability to save a tutor that you really liked working with and see when they're going to be available to work with again in the future, whether that is for scheduling another session with them, or if they're available and online at that moment, you can hop into the queue and work with them live right then and there. And lastly is your locker. This is kind of like your Google Drive of tutor.com. Whatever files it is that you're working on within the classroom will get saved to your locker for you to access whenever it is that you need. You can also upload something to the locker at home and then download it on your school computer. So that is also an option available to you as well. But again, thank you so much for taking some time to watch this video. I hope you found some of this helpful, and I really do recommend hopping in and taking a look at the platform and seeing what tools and resources can work for you. So thanks so much and have a wonderful day.